was the first thing you heard this morning? Was it a car just outside your house? Was it your alarm going off? Was it someone whisper a gentle "good morning" in your ear? No matter where or when you woke up this morning, you all heard something.
A, B, C, D, E, Y, Z, A, J, K, L, M, N, P.
This is the first thing I heard this morning. My 3-year-old daughter. I slowly opened my eyes, still half asleep. I rolled over to my left, where she was standing right next to my bed, singing into my ear. I gazed at her, but I could not see her clearly. My vision was still blurry from sleep. My ears, on the other hand, were on from the second I woke up. I heard my daughter's voice, her unique voice. Think about the voice of one of your loved ones when they called your name. You'd always be able to recognize it out of a million. Think of your mother's laughter or the voice of a loved one who has already passed away. Voices and sounds help us understand our world and connect with each other even before we are born. Research shows that unborn babies can already detect sound in the womb starting from 24 weeks. A child's eyesight, on the other hand, develops much slower. A newborn baby can detect light and motion, but it cannot see very far. It takes a newborn baby months until it can see its surroundings clearly. But that moment, when my little daughter, the same one who just sang the ABC song, was only as long as an ear of corn, 24 weeks, in my tummy, not only was she able to hear my voice, she also started to recognize it. Listening is powerful. Listening helps us understand reality. But it seems that in today's world, we have forgotten all about the significance of listening. We live in a world where visuals and videos compete for our attention 24/7, where education systems put way more focus on teaching the next generation how to read and write than how to listen actively. We live in a world where we say, "I see," to indicate that we understand. So, it really did not come to me as a surprise that business advisors, as well as friends, as well as my husband, gave me this great advice over and over again. "Regina, you have to do video." When I told them that I wanted to start an audio podcast to tell stories that should inspire all of us to make a positive difference in this world. "Regina, you need to do video." I was thinking. I felt really discouraged. I wondered if I should really go through with it. But hearing their questions and their concerns actually made me confront my own. It made me listen to the doubts I had in my own head. And by listening, I started to understand them better. Doubts that you have most likely encountered too. Am I really making the right decision? Should I really go through with it? Do I have what it takes? I wish there is a simple solution and a quick fix to get over all those doubts and get over all these questions that you hear from all these naysayers. But the honest answer is there isn't. You will keep being confronted with all these questions because people also want to understand why you take certain decisions. Why audio? Everyone keeps asking me every single day, not joking, even after I've been running this podcast for more than 2 years. Why audio? Because listening is magic. And I will prove this to you right now. All you have to do is close your eyes. When I am taking you to one of the very first recordings I did for my podcast. So just go ahead and close your eyes. We are walking up a dark and narrow staircase. Just 3 more steps until we reach the top. 1, 2, 3. He slowly opens the door and we step outside onto the rooftop. The sun is blinding and reflecting from the sparkling skyscrapers surrounding us. I slowly turn to my right, and there it is. An ocean of lush green vegetables dancing in the wind. When suddenly, please open your eyes. What did you just see? What did you just feel? Listening triggers our imagination. You all just listened to the exact same story. My words, told in my voice, but all of you saw something completely different. Some of you saw a white door. Some of you saw him wear a blue shirt. Some of you might have even felt the warmth of the sunshine right in your face. No matter what you saw, it's personal, and that's powerful. By listening, reality as we imagine it becomes the reality within us. Pictures are created in our mind that are more powerful than any visual could ever be. It's absolutely free to create. You just did it. But it's priceless at the same time because it's unique, one of a kind, created by you. By listening, you become part of the story. It's as if you are right there. And there are so many messages out there in the world that would need us to be right there too, that are worthy our undivided attention, that deserve to get heard, that would need us to become engaged and ready to take action. Imagine what our world would look like if we would actually pay closer attention to all these incredible change makers out there that are doing good. And if we would just listen to their story told in their own voice and be able to relate to them, feel with them, and be right there with them too. like the people I interview for my podcast, that fight pollution, that promote volunteering, that fund education programs for underprivileged children, that support the homeless on the streets, that stand up for female empowerment. How would our world look if everyone would actually listen to them? They would hear Beth's honest desperation when she shares how she came too late to save one of her community members. They would hear Jeff's voice breaking when he shared how he came too late to save this homeless man on the street. They would hear Sonali's voice pick up and grow even stronger when she shares why we should stand up, every one of us, for the women in our lives. Not only would everyone be able to hear their voice, they would start to feel with them too. They would feel their encouragement. They would feel their sadness and desperation, because all these emotions shine through in their unique individual voices. They would also feel their joy and happiness, their motivation, their positivity, their drive for their cause. They would hear Deej's warm laughter when he shares why he is so passionate about serving people in need. They would lean in when Jill's voice gets even softer, when she shares her love for protecting animals. They would hear Paul's voice pick up when he steps out onto his rooftop farm, totally in his element. It's the voices of these people, the incredible change makers I get to interview for my podcast, that keep me going today. They give me the courage to keep going, and getting their message heard gives my work meaning. They are the ones that are dauntless. But being dauntless also means you have to get comfortable with failing. As for me, I did overcome some initial doubts when I went out and I started this podcast, and I kept hearing all these questions and concerns, the ones in my own head and the ones from others. But of course, I do still face worries and setbacks all the time. And I'm not even talking about these, technical hiccups that tend to happen when recording. I'm talking about the real struggle that really challenges me to keep going day in and day out. To be completely honest with you, there are many days where I feel I should just give up this podcast and go back to a regular job with regular pay, where it's not just me who is in charge of everything, where I have colleagues and a structure, and where I don't feel like I have to defend and explain to everyone why I'm doing what I'm doing all the time. But then I just have to go back to one of these recordings I did and press play, hear those people's voices, and I'm reminded instantly why I started doing this in the first place. Because I want people to listen to stories that really matter and to get voices heard of people that deserve to get heard. I'm just one person with one microphone. And no one can ever make real change alone. So I'd encourage all of you here today to look around for people that inspire you, for people, like voices you want to get heard, and start sharing their impactful messages with the world too. Because we already have the tool, and that's the great news, in our hand to turn this into reality. Smartphones can be turned into microphones and recording devices within an instant. So everyone out there who dares to share their impactful message can do just that. But recording these messages and sharing them is not where we have to start. We have to start to pay closer attention to what we hear, to what is being said, and how it is being said. And we can all practice to become better, more empathetic listeners starting today. We can, even if just for a moment, try to make sense of our world like newborn babies do, by tuning into the sounds and voices we hear, by listening. We can, even if just for a few minutes, look away from our screens. Yeah. And pay attention to what is actually being said. And we can all practice that. We can practice to become better listeners with something as simple as just closing our eyes and get a deeper understanding for what is really being said, and this way become part of the story. I am certain that we have to engage all of our senses if we long for making meaningful, intimate connections that have a positive impact on us and on our world. So, let me ask you one more time. What was the first thing you heard this morning? Tomorrow, when you wake up, take a few moments and just listen. Thank you.